Express the square root of negative 75 in terms of I. Well, the first thing that we need to do is to recall the definition of the number I. I is the number whose square is negative 1. When we square I, we get the number negative 1. So that means that I is equal to the square root of negative 1. So let's simplify the square root of negative 75. The first step is to factor the radicand negative 75 completely. The negative in front indicates that negative 1 is a factor. The ones digit being a 5 indicates that 5 is a factor. And 5 divides into 75 15 times. 15 is divisible by 5. And 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3. So the complete factorization of negative 75 is negative 1 times 5 times 5 times 3. Now in order to simplify a radical, we need to make sure that there aren't any perfect squares underneath the radical other than negative 1. Okay, but right now we have 5 times 5 underneath of the radical, and 5 times 5 is a perfect square. So we're going to need to remove the 5 times 5 from underneath the radical. We've also got a negative 1 under the radical, and so we're going to want to use our definition of I in order to simplify that part. So we're going to use the product rule for radicals. We'll find the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 5 times 5, which is 25, times the square root of 3. The square root of negative 1 is I. The square root of 25 is 5. And the square root of 3 cannot be simplified because 3 is not a perfect square, and there aren't any other perfect squares other than one that divide evenly into 3. The way that we normally write this is 5I times the square root of 3. We don't put the I after the square root of 3 because it might be a little bit confusing to determine whether the I is outside or inside the radical. By writing I in front, the I is clearly on the outside of the radical. So our simplified answer is 5I square root of 3. 5I square root of 3.